Can you fly with your expensive electric mountain bikes? And is it worth it? Well, riders, I'm gonna let you know in about 30 hours because Bea and I are off to Australia. And in this video, we're gonna look at the ins and outs of flying with your electric mountain bike, if it's possible, what batteries you can take, what batteries you definitely can't take, what are the best options for flying. We're gonna check out the airlines, how to pack the bike, and loads more. And this video is sponsored by Insta360, absolute legends. I've been using the X3 camera, and over the next 30 hours, this is gonna be the POV footage. So riders, we've got a flight to catch. Let's go. And here we are in Australia. Fast forward 30 hours to Sydney, then an 8-hour delay in Sydney, and then a 7-day delay with COVID in Adelaide. And today is the last day of quarantine. We are in Aldinga Beach, South Australia, and it's so good to be home. And I'm pleased to let you legend riders know the Levo and the Rain made it to Adelaide completely undamaged, and they're all set up, ready to rock. Okay, legend riders, what are the ins and outs of flying across the world with your expensive electric mountain bikes? Well, first up, 100% you cannot fly with any electric mountain bike battery that is bigger than 160 watt hours. So that pretty much takes out every full powered electric mountain bike on the market. But what you can fly with is something like a Kenevo SL or a Levo SL or an Bea Rise, so a super light electric mountain bike with a 160 watt hour range extender. You can actually have two of them, and you can take two on your take-on luggage, and when you get to your destination, you just ride with the range extenders. I did that in Poland. It worked really, really well. But riders, you might be saying, Sam, I don't have a super light. How have you done it? Well, the long and the short of it is I have not brought a battery with me. I am lucky. Specialized and Giant are gonna sort me out a battery locally. But what are your other options if you do wanna ride with your full powered electric mountain bike, let's say in Europe or America? Well, first off, you could rent a battery at the other side. If you're going to a riding destination, let's say Whistler, Finale Ligure, the Alps, you can probably ring ahead to the big bike shops there, and I'm sure you could probably rent a battery for the time you're gonna be there. But that will only be in big riding destinations. Or you could speak, if you're coming home like I've done, if I didn't have the connection with Specialized and Giant, I could possibly speak to one of my friends. I have about 10 mountain bike friends that live in Adelaide. I could possibly go halves in a battery with them and say, hey, look, I'm gonna leave it here. You can have a second battery. Let's go halves. 500-600 euros each, and Bob's your uncle. It's another way. And another way, if you're not leaving Europe or America or Australia, you can actually post the bike with a courier door to door. That's probably the easiest way. It's probably the most expensive way as well. I haven't done it with an e-bike, but I have done it in Europe with my old bike, and it worked very well. And before we crack on with the next tip, the official sponsor of this video today is Insta360. And all the footage you saw of that 30-second, 45-second montage, Bea put it all together. I think she did a fantastic job. And the X3 is such a versatile camera. I've been loving my time. Long-term review coming out in the next couple of weeks. But riders, if you like the idea of having vertical format for Instagram and TikTok Reels, if you're a TikToker, you can do it on the X3. You can also repurpose the same video so you can do it in vertical and horizontal. For me, it's a game changer because I only need to shoot one format and I can take edits from both So it's really good for me. So I would definitely check it out, and link in the show notes where to get the best deals on your X3. Yes, it is an affiliated link. I do earn a little bit of money, but it does help out at Sam's Bikes. So now we understand the ins and outs of the batteries and how we cannot take any battery that is bigger than 160 watt hours. Now let's have a look at the airlines, and all airlines are not created equal. When you're going to book your trip, riders, definitely check out the fine print. What you're looking for is your sporting good or your bike to be accepted as luggage. So what that means is if you have 30 kilos, you're allowed to split, you're allowed to have a bike box or bag and your luggage, so you're allowed to have 2 bags, and you're allowed to split that on 30 kilos. Some airlines do this, and some airlines charge for your bike, and sometimes it's 150 US or 150 euros per route. So it can get quite expensive. And also, if you are looking for a long haul flight like we did, make sure you don't go cheap. Don't go through the search engines and book through that, because you want to be really careful that every leg of your flight has the same amount of baggage allowance and also the baggage rules, because we flew from Madrid to London with BA, and then we flew the rest of the time with Qantas, and we booked with Qantas, and we had 30 kilos luggage each, but then BA had a different rule, and I spoke to BA, I spoke to Qantas. They said they weren't 100% sure, and we weren't actually 100% sure we weren't going to get hit with excess baggage fees until we got to the airport. No one would give me a straight answer. So definitely try and book the whole leg through one airline. And time for a pro tip. We all love the pro tips. Now, my old man, absolute legend, an old school photographer, this is a trick he had. When we flew a lot in Australia, we always got hit with excess baggage fees. So if you join a club, so we joined Qantas Club, and you know, all the airlines have their clubs, and one of the benefits normally is you get extra luggage. So to give you an idea, we joined Qantas Club, or I joined Qantas Club, and what we got was I got an extra 12 kilos of luggage for my trip to Australia and back. And so we had 30 kilos plus the 12 plus the 10 take on. So I ended up getting a lot of luggage, and it was 300 euros. And I think it worked out quite good value, because we got to go into the Qantas lounge, got some champagne, got a few beers, got some food, got to have a shower, Bea said, in, I think it was in Singapore. We had a shower in Singapore. My brain is a little bit foggy still from the 40-hour trip. But yeah, I think it was definitely worth it. And if you travel a lot, especially with your bike, I would recommend looking at one of the clubs. Now let's talking about packing up your pride and joy. And you want to give time for this, riders. This is going to take you a few hours. First off, you want to deeply clean your bike, especially if you're going to somewhere like Australia or New Zealand, where the laws getting into that country are quite tricky. You want to take off the tires. And if you're going to ride in a place for a few weeks, I would recommend buying the tires in the destination you're going to be riding. Because if you're coming to Australia, secondhand tires or used tires is a big no-no. And a good set of Shorby tires is going to be around 2.5 to 3 kilos. I can't afford that luggage. I was so over. And the good people at Shorby sent me out all my tires for the next couple of months. And riders, if I don't use them all, I'll be dishing them out to the Aussie riders out there. So tires are off. You want to take derailleur off, chain off, cassette off, rotors off, anything that can be bent or twisted. You want to take everything off, clean it, and put it in a small box. And you want to put that box underneath, sort of in between the down tube and the cranks. That will keep it safe there. And with the bike, you're going to need a box or a luggage bag. Now, for me, if you have the money and the weight to spare, a luggage bag, a bike luggage bag is best. But they do cost around 500 to 700 euros. They're very expensive. And they're also kind of annoying to store in your house because they're quite big. And the worst part is they weigh between 8 and 10 kilos. So for me, it wasn't an option. So I went to my local bike shop. In advance, I spoke to them a week before I was leaving. I asked them to hold me 2 cardboard boxes. And those boxes weigh 2 kilos each. And I always travel with boxes. I've never had any problem. It's how you pack the bike. So then you've got the cardboard box, and Bea actually did all the wrapping. We've got bubble wrap, we've got some of that sort of thin plastic wrap. We really protected everything. We had some polystyrene, sort of old packing blocks. We packed it really well, Bea packed it really well. And as I said, I'm really pleased to let you riders know that absolutely nothing was damaged. One thing you want to look out for, if you are being a little bit lazy, just don't be lazy, take off the cassette, because the cassette is really sharp. And what I've found is the cassette can really cut in to the cardboard box when it gets moved around. Definitely take off that cassette. And also riders, check out with the airline you're flying with and make sure that your box does not exceed the total size limit. Now for Qantas, it was 140 centimeters on the longest edge. And with British Airways, it was 165. So they do differ. You're gonna obviously have to go with the smallest one. And we did get some Specialized boxes that were for road bikes, and they did fit. And also riders, another tip, if you did buy your bike online and your bike came in a bike box, I probably wouldn't be using that box, because generally electric mountain bike boxes are bigger, wider and heavier. You don't really need it, and also it's going to exceed those limits. And one last pro tip, if you're going home or to a riding destination where you have friends there, reach out to those friends and see what you can borrow. I have taken my Giant Rain and my Levo without front wheels. Yes, you heard right, riders, without front wheels, because it saved me a kilo and I really was on the limit. And my mate Julian and Brett are giving me a front wheel for the next couple of months in Australia. And also Brett's giving me some pedals. So if you are trying to save the weight, reach out to your mates and see what you can get on the other side. So now your Pride and Joy is packed and it's ready to go. And the last minute, you're gonna pack your clothes, your riding clothes and all your bits and pieces. Now for me, a tip, I've been traveling across the world for many years, being Australian, and I'm always on the limit, because before electric mountain bikes, I was a photographer and I've always been traveling with loads of kit. And my tip is get yourself a really good suitcase, a lightweight suitcase. So we have a Samsonite. It's a pretty big one. I think it's like a 120 litre suitcase, and it only weighs in 2.5 kilos. So definitely don't pay excess baggage just because you're taking crappy, heavy suitcases. So do yourself a favor, get yourself a good suitcase. It's gonna last you a long time. It's gonna be a pleasure to travel with because it's super light and they look pretty stylish as well, gotta say. And riders, that's pretty much all my tips. If you want to add anything else in, riders, put it in the comments. I would love to know. And we are out of quarantine tomorrow. Shakedown ride on the Levo's happening. Giant Rain long-term review is happening. And what am I doing in Australia? Well, I'm here. I'm helping out with my old man. I'm driving around, taking him to rehab. He had a fall down the stairs a couple of months ago. He's doing really well. We're doing a bit of cooking, a bit of riding. We're definitely going to be based in Adelaide. We might be getting to Melbourne. We might be going to Tasmania. It's all up in the air at the moment. But riders, anyone in Adelaide that wants to ride, I'll be riding on a Tuesday or a Sunday. Hit me up on Instagram and I'll definitely reply to you and I'll see you out in the trails. And you know it, if you haven't subscribed to Sam's Bikes, please do so. Share it with like-minded people. It really does mean a lot. And you stay safe out there and we're going to see you next week.